One of the most common mistakes when you start to box and when you start to learn how to box is that they teach you a stance. And normally people think that once you have your stance, it's the same stance if you're in a short range, if you're in the mid range, or if you're in a long range. You have to adapt your stance in the different ranges from your opponent. The first one I'm going to teach you today is the long range. Long range means that you can't touch your opponent. You can't touch your opponent. That means that you're in a long range. How do you have to stand whenever you're in a long range? You have to be always, your both feet have to be 50-50%, which means 50% of my weight in my little leg and 50% in my rear leg. That will help you to move in and out. Never too wide, because that will not allow you to move appropriately, and not too close, of course, because you wouldn't have balance. So once you have this, you need to be sideways. Always not square, completely sideways. That will improve your movement, moving in and out. As a fencer, you move in and out, in and out, in and out, you move in and out. Okay, always have your mind in the ball of the foot. Okay, always in the ball of the foot, so you can move in and out, in and out. And your lead arm is going to be a little bit extended, so you can catch your opponent's punches, so you can distract him, or you can throw your jab. The closer your jab is to your opponent, the easier it is to land to your opponent. So the more you can throw your jab. Once you're here, you can bother him. You can go in and out, move in and out, and move. Okay? Now that you move into the mid-range, you need to adapt your stance. So remember, we were sideways, we were moving in and out. Now that you are in the mid-range, it means that you can touch your opponent by just extending your arm. This is the mid-range. Once you're here, you're not going to be, you don't want to move in and out when you're in the mid-range. That's too risky. This is not the way you're moving. Once you are in the mid-range, what you want to do is you want to use your head movement. So you want to be closer to your opponent, so the closer you get, the more the closer you get your lead arm to your face too. So because it's a lot more risky. Once you're here, you also have to step a little bit your right leg. You're going to step a little bit closer or forward in order to make your stance a little bit more squared. Why would you want a square stance? Because you want to move sideways. You want to move sideways. From here, you want to move to one side and to the other. And from here, you can catch punches. You can counter your opponent. You can even have a wider stance if you want also. If you want, you can have a wider stance, so you can move a lot more your torso. When you have your stance as a long range, it's difficult to be moving to different sides. You can only move to one side. You cannot move to this side because it's not comfortable. That's why you have to be a little bit more square, and from here you can move a lot more. But remember to put your little arm a little bit closer to your head, and to make it a smaller package, okay? A little bit more smaller package, so you can counter to your opponent and get better shots. When we get into the close range, it's a completely different art. It's a completely different game. You have to adapt your stance even more squared, even completely aligned. Why? Why would I do that? In here, when you're in a close range, you want to neutralize or take away all the space that your opponent has. If you are far away, if you're in a side stance, if I'm here like a side stance, even if I'm close with my head, he still has a lot of space between to punch to my body. But that's why I have to be really close, to take away all of the space for him to punch. Then I have to look always for a way so I can move to any of the sides. From here, what you have to do is always put your head into your opponent's lead shoulder. That's the easiest way. But if you're in a really, really square stance, you can move to any side. And you have to use a lot your arms to move your opponent's arms to move to the sides. And from here, that's why you have to be always modifying your stance. I will have to make a whole video in order to explain the whole art of how to work in the close range. But now you have a clear idea of what you have to do in order for the different ranges. Remember, in the long range, I'm far away, and the closer I get to you, the squarer I get, the closer I get everything, the smaller the package, okay? That's the way you have to always think of it. You're moving your toe, you're moving in and out, and you get smaller and smaller and smaller and even closer to your legs because you want to move sideways, okay? So remember, for this you need great fundamentals. I'll leave the link in the description below so you can go into my courses. I have all the drills, full-length classes, so we can work together. So click in the link below, and I'll see you there so we can train together. Remember to subscribe and leave a comment below. See you next week.